Thank you for joining us today for Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. I am music producer Achickwitbeatz.
And I'm entrepreneur Breezy Gipson.
And once again, we appreciate you for rocking with us. And of course, a super huge shout out to our home stations, Grander Radio out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Sparks Radio out of Denver, Colorado. And I'm really excited about getting to do this again. You think that after all this time, maybe it kind of dulled down a little bit, but nope, I'm just as excited as when we first started. How about you?
Oh man, I mean, there's a whole lot going on, especially after what we saw the other night with the Grammys and all of the music industry news piling in left and right and everything. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yes, sir. So yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that. We've got a few of those news stories to share with you, but then after that, we'll take some time to talk about how these actually impact us as artists and just as listeners or consumers of music. So yeah, I'm excited to bring this show to you, and of course, we have the wonderful Azar King returning to join us again later. So yeah, we got a lot of goodies packed up for you.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm excited. I got my parachute on because I'm not fully ripcord.
Yeah. All right. So without any further ado, let's go.
Okay, let's go.
we're back with music industry news. There's some stuff that's been going on with TikTok. Not sure if you've had a chance to hear what's been going on, but just in case. So the first story that kind of popped up was that they're trying to prove that they don't need major label music. And so now the whole industry is trying to, watch and say, uh-oh, what are they up to? Are they actually just going to kind of just make us all irrelevant, or what's going on? So basically what they did was remove the major record label music from its service for some users in Australia. So sources are saying that TikTok is basically experimenting because they're going to use the results of how this turns out in their next round of licensing negotiations. So what does that mean? The next story that flowed immediately after that is that they launched their DIY distribution service called Sound On in Australia. And it's the same week that this happened. So it looks like what they're doing and what they're thinking is pretty much that independent artists can actually kind of carry the need for music on the service. So even though they're experimenting with this segment in Australia, you got to think, it's probably going to be coming our way in the US and some other areas too. But it has so many implications. But the fact that they realize that there are so many talented people out there that have music, and even maybe some of those who some might argue the talent, but if the song's catchy enough to be able to be used in other videos, they might not need the big three labels anymore. What do you think about that?
I hope I'm not doing it too quickly.
Yeah, like it's really an exciting thought, isn't it?
It is. Oh, now along with that, there's also a couple of things going on with the one and only Instagram, as far as your regular Instagram account versus a business account versus a creator's account. Okay, and so now as that flows, the regular account has just a tiny capture link up with the music from around the world. The business account has a little bit more, but not much. But the creator's account has got a whole bunch. Now, isn't that something to think?
It really is.
Yeah, I did this. I was not aware of until just last night. Right? And so just think of all the folks out there who don't know that. And so, perhaps for next week, maybe we can do some research on that. And because I just happened to fall across that. And, there's millions and millions and millions of people, I bet, they don't know exactly what I just said even exists.
Yeah, that is quite possible. But there's a lot of things. Anytime they introduce things or make these changes. So basically, in the very, very beginning of 2021, I believe it was when they started to roll out that they were doing things a little bit differently depending on which account that you had. Now, it's in their best interest to basically have more resources for creators, because creators are the ones that are actually keeping people on the platform. So people might go there for one thing or another, but there's been a huge change, and even on Facebook with how they've been treating creators lately. So if you actually have the opportunity to switch to one of those accounts, you'll definitely see a much bigger boost in engagement than we were getting before. So when Facebook started charging people to promote their actual posts, or else only 1% of your fans and followers would see it, they started to see steady declines. And a lot of people that would tune into a big nerd, just in case you guys didn't know that, but some of the marketing webinars or whatever, there were a lot of people expressing their frustrations and wondering if it was even worth it to continue to use some of the Meta platforms anymore. So basically their eyes have kind of been to the ground listening to the creators and what they're saying. And so now you're actually getting a lot more visibility than you used to, and that works both on Facebook and Instagram. So the more resources and tools that they give us, the more likely we are to continue to use their platforms, bringing more people so that way they can get the advertising dollars. So yeah, it's pretty interesting how all that's connected.
And you think that all you got to do, the average person probably thinks all they have to do is just, when they wake up in the morning, just tap their app and have it come on. And they don't know that all of these sub channels and sub filters and whatever even exist. Mm-hmm. Like you were just explaining, I mean, that's all for the up and coming, budding new musician, indie artist. I mean, it's almost vital for them to know something like what you just said.
It is. It really is. And, with so many different things happening and going on, it's easy to maybe kind of glance at something and think, oh, I'll read it later. But then you don't go back to it. Then, you end up finding out much later, like, oh, I could have been using this the whole time. So, I mean, there's so much information out there. It's just almost like we're constantly being bombarded by it. So it's kind of hard to decipher which ones you actually need to pay attention to sometimes. I know I deal with that a lot.
Mm-hmm. There's something new every day.
Yes, sir. All right. And also, Shamrock Capital has raised $600 million to fuel acquisitions in music and entertainment. So their fund, got that much money in commitments, which was actually exceeding its target of $500 million. So they're planning on using the money to acquire, quote unquote, a diverse and global portfolio of media and content rights. So the firm typically partners with content creators and targets portfolios in film, TV, music, video games, sports rights, and other forms of content. So, man, I mean, there's a common theme in this episode already, isn't it? Content creators.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of people that don't really consider themselves as content creators, but your music is content. So even if you don't do anything else with you creating that, let's see, if you're a graphic artist, if you're an animator and all that stuff, that's content. So anything that people can log on someplace to consume, that's content. And so if you're a content creator, then that means that all these opportunities are here for you. And even with this particular company, Shamrock, talking about the specific portfolios that they're looking into, that's even more possibilities for you to be able to expand what you offer into some of those areas as well. So, we've talked multiple times about video game music and how important those connections are and how Twitch has been capitalizing off of that. So a lot of times with these stories, you can kind of see what the companies are looking for, the companies with the big bucks and what they're trying to throw their money behind. And if it fits with what you do, then why not make that alignment?
Why not? Yeah. That's a double up on that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So as promised, as you mentioned the other night, we had the Grammys and okay, so this feels kind of weird for me to admit publicly, especially on a music podcast platform, but I personally try to avoid anything I can with the Grammys for the simple fact that every single year, there's always so much disappointment behind who's actually chosen. And, this is not to downplay anyone's talent or anything like that. But the Grammys only really have the power that the people give it. So, by being upset by not winning and, whining about being robbed and all this other stuff, you're still actually placing so much value on it. While, if it's fun to be accepted and acknowledged by your peers for what you do and recognized, I should say, while that's fun and that's a great thing, even if it doesn't happen, that's not a reflection of your talent. And I think that a lot of people forget that, and really, if you look at it, the Grammys is pretty much just a huge advertisement campaign. And most of us don't, sit down during the commercial break to enjoy the advertisement. You want the actual good content. You have to deal with the advertisement along with it, but to me, it just seems kind of backwards. So, of course, the things that we've heard about the heckler when Harry Styles won over Beyonce, or Chris Brown saying that he didn't know who Robert Glasper was and why did he get it? Like, who even is this? The fact that people are placing such value on something that they were told to value is just mind-boggling to me. What do you think?
Well, I mean, especially with me being from the Atlanta area, I have to allude right off the bat to a young lady that was really busting the trail around here, and making some explosions. And speaking of India.Irie, and this was several years ago, and all of us were really looking forward to, I mean, because we knew up close and personal by going through to her concerts or seeing her around town and this, that, the other, and coming up, blossoming from a teenager. And heck, man, the first India.Irie concert I ever went to cost $5. Okay, and I remember the place, and it was the Saturday night. I mean, and the roof was coming off, and everybody's like, well, "Who is this?" And so, okay, and then it just took off. Okay, so then here we are. I don't know whether a year later, 2 years later, or whatever. I don't think it was 2 years later, but yeah, maybe it was. But still, we were looking for some type of not redemption, but some type of tangible success, tangible awards, and so that didn't happen. Okay, and so she was just shaken to the roots behind that, and then of course all of us were too. Okay, and so, but that wasn't the first time anything like that ever happened.
Right.
And see, over the years, I mean, going way back, there's just been some big the anticipation was there for somebody, and then it just, it's like it just fell on its face, and it's just the unexpected.
Yeah. And just like you said, I mean, it's been happening for years, but yet people still, keep having their fingers crossed that they'll do right this time. And, theoretically, if you want to talk about it, and, this is not saying anything about Chris Brown's talent either, but for Robert Glasper to actually get recognized was kind of a shift, something a little bit different than what we had been seeing, instead of it just going to the most popular artists. Because, just in case you're not aware, when they send those the votes around for people to actually be able to vote on who should win it, if the person who's doing the voting hasn't done their research, then of course they're just going with the name that they recognize. So, that kind of chips away at the validity of it as well. So, I mean, not to say that anybody who's won a Grammy, if you won it, congratulations. Like I said, it's still a great thing to be acknowledged by your peers. But, it's not really an accurate reflection of how the public feels about the music. I mean,
we could say the same thing about the Academy Awards.
Yes.
With the movies. Okay, the public can feel how many movies has the public just gone bonzo over, and then when it comes to the Academy Awards, they don't make it. And we're like, what?
Exactly.
So
exactly. It's no different than, voting in elections. If you haven't done your research and you decide to just go anyway and you're just filling in bubbles, you're not helping anybody by doing that. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, just say all that to say, if it happens to the major stars, it happens to independent artists on a smaller scale as well. So, I can't count how many posts I've seen from independent artists who are disappointed that, maybe they didn't get as many likes on the song that they shared, or their own friends didn't share it, or, their friends asked to get put on the guest list for their shows when they perform, as opposed to paying, and that sort of thing. So it's more about, you have to recognize why you're doing what you're doing, why you actually got into music in the first place, and understand that the acknowledgement and accolades that you might feel that you deserve may not come from the people that you think they're going to come from, but it's not a reflection on your talent. So, just keep pushing, think about what you actually need from it, because, be honest, the pat on the back isn't going to pay your bills anyway. So, if it's truly your passion, truly your art, just keep pushing through and doing what you're doing, and look for your people find your people. It's probably not the people that you already know. So, there's somebody out there that needs the music that you're making, and you just got to stay on your quest until you guys find each other.
Now, on the other hand, should you be one of the lucky few that are chosen to actually perform live? Oh my gosh! Now, see, so actually, if they don't if they don't watch out, the live performances can actually supersede walking up the steps to get that glow.
Yeah.
Because when we're talking about these apps and different things like that, with creative different accesses according to creative levels and stuff like that, some of those acts, hey, there have been people who in reality, in life, there have been people who've been pushed up front, but then when you get on stage, they're like, no, they don't have it. But then on the other hand, there's some folks that when they get on stage, they crush it. Okay. Yeah. And they erase all doubt of whether they're talented or not. And once they leave the stage, that mark is still there. And we know as a viewer, yeah, well, we don't care what happened over there. Hey, they busted that show. They busted that down right there.
Yeah, because I can't even tell you how many people sent me clips of the hip hop performance, specifically with Busta Rhymes. So, that's a great example of somebody that's just got it all the way around, and for as long as he's actually been in the game, he could actually have one of those moments if he wanted to, like, oh no, I've already proven myself. But man, he just keeps driving. So yeah, he'll give you the good stuff, whether it's on wax or in a live show. So it's that's a really great point. So your live show, it's definitely a game that you don't want to kind of let slip, because just like you said, I mean, that's what's going to last in people's minds. They're going to remember that. They're going to be sending those clips to everyone they know, like, hey, check this out. So yeah, that's a really great point. I'm glad you brought that up.
And not only that, just think how many opportunities have come to him just in this short time frame, and are gonna come in based on what transpired in that show the other night.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a fire right there. That's a firestorm.
Exactly. And we kind of saw something similar happen with Jadakiss during that infamous Versus one. So it was almost like, people knew he was talented. I don't know if some people forgot or they didn't think that he'd be able to still, rock a show like that live. But yeah. So yeah, that's a great point. We might have to do a whole episode on, making sure you keep your live performance game tight.
Oh, and speaking of that, hey, we're right around the corner. It's February, getting ready to be March, and we all know springtime. That's leading to building on up to the springtime, summertime live concerts all over. Oh, it's gonna be crazy this year.
Yeah, because people get tired of being cooped up in the winter, so they're gonna want to get out and check out some shows. So yeah, I think we have to do that, right? Yeah. We'll do an episode dedicated to that.
Okay.
So, all right, we're going to take a quick pause for the cause before we come back with our guests. But, before we do that, I just want to say, since we're still talking about things that are relevant to artists, it's really important to make sure that you keep up with your metrics and what's going on, who's listening to you. So if you don't already, make sure that you have your Apple Music for Artists, your Spotify for Artists, your Amazon Music for Artists, so you can see, who's actually vibing with you that can kind of help you with your promotional efforts. And so just like it's important for independent artists, it's also important for us podcasters as well to pay attention to who's listening to us. And we recently discovered, and thank you so much, Anchor, for making these stats available to us, but 100% of our listeners are from the planet Earth. And we just want to say to any Martians out there, We got some stuff for you too. So go ahead and log in. Okay. Yeah, I'm done with my plea to the non-earthers out there. But yeah, shout out to Spotify/Anchor for getting super descriptive. I had no idea that if you drilled down, it would go down to Earth and show that we had 0 listeners on Venus and all those other places. So yeah. Shout out. If you know any Martians, tell them to tune in too.
Or any folks or any beings that happen to be in weather balloons that are using the air drafts way up to transport them from point A to point B. You never know.
Yeah, we want to make sure you guys tune in too. All right, we're gonna take a quick pause for the cause, and we'll be back with Azar King right after this.
Hey fam, this is Breezy Gipson from the Breeze team. How would you like to see an online platform that brings you people who've already indicated that they're interested in your particular type of business? Whether it's your music you're selling, hip-hop clothing, you got a restaurant or a cafe, or if you're an entrepreneur or agent for a business. Visit me at breeze2cheese.com. That's using the number 2, breeze2cheese.com, or click my bio link on my Instagram profile to see a live demo of how this can help you get more customers and make more money.
Hey, this is Achickwitbeatz. I am a multi-genre music producer and strategist to indie artists and labels. Visit my website, achickwitbeatz.com, for resources for artists and instrumentals available in various genres for songs, vlogs, blogs, podcasts, themes, TV, film, commercials, and more. Once again, that's achickwitbeatz.com, ACHICKWITBEATZ. Let's make something happen. Thank you so much for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We're so glad, delighted, and excited, thrilled to announce that we have back in us with the building, Mr. Azar King, or Mr. Tornadoes. How you feeling today?
And I'm good, blessed and getting stronger by the minute.
That's what's up. So, for our people that might have missed you the last time that you were on, can you give them a little bit of background, as to who you are or what you do and how you got involved in the arts?
Well, I am your CAO, curator, and originator, Mr. Goddamn himself, Azar King, aka Professor X Poetry, sometimes Azar 15 because my lyrics is laser beams. I'm a poet. I do music. I design flyers, crochet, all that stuff. But one of the ways I got to the point that I am now is, through my poetry and through my music. And that's probably definitely the only thing that I've really been consistent in my life, besides raising my daughter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So, with you having so many talents, what's the one you find yourself most drawn to, or one that you're doing most often lately, like within the last, couple months ago, since the new year? How about that?
Definitely poetry, because it opens up different avenues for me. Like, I had the opportunity to be on the news for Martin Luther King's birthday. I wasn't expecting it, but it was nice to be able to do it. It was like I like to refer to it as a resurrection. So, 20 years ago, I was on the news for crime, and now 20 years later, I'm on the news for changing time, and to meet somebody who's part of the Democratic Black Caucus Party and have a conversation with him, it just shows that I'm getting closer and closer to the rooms that I want to be in order to, help shift the dynamics that I want to see change.
Whoa, that was heavy. What do you think, Breezy? I see you nodding.
That's a heck of a way to come in the door with some really strong info like that, and not only strong but meaningful info. What you just said was that's life changing, because there's a lot of space in there that needs to be attended to, and so for you to have your feet in there like that, kudos to you, because that means that you're helping bring about change, and you're helping bring about focus on various topics that need inspecting or discussing. And so my head's off to you, man. That's strong stuff.
I think it's just not even that. I had two guys that I seen yesterday. One was at Amazon working, one was working at this Italian ice place. And so when I seen the dude that was doing the Amazon job, he's like, man, black dude, like, man, they working me, man. I said, yeah. I said, but would you rather them work you or some bullets in your body working you? I said, so I want you to know that you're winning with what you're doing, you know what I'm saying? Because so many people that look like us are choosing, alternate routes. And then the other guy, he was saying, yeah, I'm becoming a team leader, because I asked him if they was hiring. He's like, I don't know. I said, well, listen, to be a team leader, you need to know these things. You know what I'm saying? I said, because you're striving to help this business build, and not only are you striving to help this business build, but you're helping build yourself. So this is a part of building your future, knowing what it takes to get people to come in, whether it's hiring or just to buy into your company.
Yeah, that's really impactful. So, a lot of people, sometimes we run into artists that care about the community as well, but there are a lot of artists that just kind of, they're in it for what they can get. What's one of the reasons why you take your craft so seriously and actually use it to help people?
I know what it's like to not have nobody. You know what I mean? And to spend 15 years of my life just staring at concrete walls, sleeping on metal beds, and then watching so many people just not care about their life. It's like, man, I ain't going back out the same way I came in. And that's why I was like, it's like a pregnancy, right? And so you'll see dudes in the inside like, man, I'm ready to go. I deserve to be out. And there's 3 stages to it. You got the stillborn, the premature, and the fullborn, right? And you got individuals that go right back out to society just as dead as they went in. Wow. And then you got people that say they're ready to get out, and by a blessing, they get out sooner than it's supposed to be for them, because they still need some work to do. So now they're premature, they don't have no plans, nothing, they just moving aimless. And then you got that person who took the time to really work on themselves, find themselves, get their mind and body right, and now they're going back to society as a full-born individual, not physically, but mentally being able to deal with whatever comes their way, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so for me, being in that position and watching, and I always say y'all because, you wasn't in there, so I'm watching y'all. I'm watching y'all die for 15 years. That's basically what I'm doing. And I know I was put here for a purpose, and that purpose is to wake us back up. So that's why I take it so seriously. It ain't about the money, because the money gonna come. I sold drugs, so I know money gonna come and go. You can look at all these people who pre-pandemic had millions and billions of dollars, right? And then when COVID hit, they lost their damn mind. Why? Because they realized that money wasn't everything. You know what I mean? So you can have all the money in the world, but that human interaction is what we've been put here for.
Yeah, I mean, he just came in dropping gems, didn't he, Breeze?
Yeah, he did. I mean, and that's a testimonial right there, because a lot of the folks, not that they're supposed to or that they have to, but a lot of folks that come through our door, they're not even, you think they're even looking at social change or social involvements or community action or anything like that. They're not, so I mean, that's not a requirement that they have to, but they say nothing whatsoever about the contact with their community in which they reside. And let's say, let's take the 52 weeks of all last year. Not many at all said anything like what you just said, right?
Right. Yeah, actually, so this is our 133rd episode since we've been back, which we came back during the pandemic, and we've only had maybe about a handful, and I do mean like a handful, literally, we could count on one hand how many are actually considering others, with yourself included. So
I remember when I started this pandemic, I started probably a little prior before COVID hit, and I just seen all these people coming out the woodwork, doing the lives, doing these open mics. And I remember telling a few people, I said, you see all these people that's doing this? A lot of them ain't gonna be here next year. And then those that make it to next year, they ain't gonna be here next year. I said, you know why? Because I'm already looking at them and seeing that they're not doing it to better themselves or help better individuals. They're only doing it for clout. When you're only doing it for clout, it ain't gonna last long. Look at all these one-hit wonders that came out. They had a song that got them fame overnight, right?
Yeah.
But they couldn't follow up. You know why they couldn't follow up? Because their intentions was wrong. You ain't gonna be able to follow up if your intentions ain't right. Pac always said, he said to Scarface one time, right? Pac was like, Scarface, man, come out, let's go party. Scarface like, man, I gotta focus on making these hits. And Pac said, that's your problem. You focus on making hits when you should still just be focused on making the music.
Whoa. that's a sub episode right there, man.
You know what I'm saying? So when you focus on making hits, you're never going to be able to make a hit because you're so focused on trying to make a hit.
Right.
But if you're just making music and you're coming from yourself, your spirit, your essence, that's where the greatest hits came from. Mary J. Blige, all them made their greatest hits from experience and pain and whatever they was going through at that time, not because they were trying to make a hit.
You're so right. Yeah. Was that quote from DJ House Shoes? Like, if you're trying to make music for everybody, you ain't making music for nobody. So yeah, that's a really, really good point. So, with that being said, to somebody out there that's listening right now that is, really just focused on their next hit, can you maybe give them some advice similar to what Pac said, something that can kind of drill down for today's climate so they can kind of grasp it?
Everything you make is a hit. Period. I don't care if you got 10 million people in the room and only half of them said a hit, right? You make up the other 5 million. You make up the whole 10 million. It's just like me going in competitions when I compete as a poet in slams, right? Whether I win that slam or not, I still won because I gave myself a chance. I took a chance on me. So anything I make, even if I don't like it, right? It's still a hit to me because of the fact I took a chance on writing. When I could have just left it dormant, because I've written things 20, 25 years ago that I'll read now and I'll be like, dang, I was writing that to myself. I didn't even know I was writing that to myself. You know what I mean? But it helped me get through whatever I was dealing with that time. And so when I wrote it that 20, 25 years ago, at that time, it didn't have no weight. But now 20, 25 years later, it has weight because it's able to deal with what's going on. It's just like Pop. People say he dead, he alive. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if he isn't alive, he made records that are still relevant to right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Because he wasn't focused on making no hits. He was focused on making music, and the music that he was making was impactful because he was basing it from everything he's seen on a daily basis and what he was going through on a daily basis.
Right. And I really like what you said too about, still being a hit, even if you make up the other 5 million. Just because, there's the only way that you can actually continue to perfect your craft and get better is by to keep doing it. And so, that's really important. And when you make stuff, sometimes you don't necessarily know who it's for. So like for me, I've made beats that I'm like, okay, this is a solid beat, but maybe I didn't really there's nothing I would ever actually use it for, where somebody else will come and be like, oh, I've been waiting on something like this. And I'll be like, okay. Right. So yeah, you never know who your art is actually going to serve. So yeah, that's a really great point. If you just focus on the hits, you could be missing so many people that could be affected by your art just by doing that.
Man, look at this. And this just real talk. This ain't no racist thing. It's just real talk. If you look at white expensive art, right? Man, they'll take and splash paint on a canvas. And they'll be patient. And they'll end up selling that canvas for $7,000 to $10,000, right? You look up expensive black art, and it'd be some fantastic art, but we price our stuff at $20, $30, $50, $100. Why? Because we've always been taught, hurry up and get, not be patient. Always been taught, hurry up and spend, not hurry up and save. You know what I'm saying? And so when it comes to your craft, there's always somebody that's going to like what you do. There's always going to be somebody that's going to be willing to pay for what you do. But the main thing that makes it hard for you to get to those people is the lack of patience. That's what makes it hard to get. They don't care. They're patient. You know what? I can let this sit for 6 months a year. While I'm letting it sit for 6 months a year, I'm be over here creating something else, right? I'm gonna be over here creating something else, and I'm gonna put that for sale. If that don't sell, I'm gonna be over here creating something else. Now I got an abundance of art. Now, over a period of time, it may all hit at one time. You might sell all 3 of those pieces that you just now created at one time. Why? Because you was willing to be patient, right? Yeah. Look at 50 Cent. He got records where he may on Get Rich or Die Trying that just now going down.
Right.
But he ain't tripping. Why he ain't tripping? Because he started doing other things in the meantime, creating TV shows, creating clothing lines, creating watch brands, creating headphones, creating alcohol line. He's making his money work for him while the other money is still working.
Wow. Well, I see Breezy's wheels turning there. I was like, he got something to say. I see it.
Well, I mean, it's there, a word unsaid or an action untaken that's got huge ramifications. Okay. Again, a word unsaid or an action untaken, not taken, it's got huge ramifications. And this microwave society that we live in, people want the stuff quick and fast. And, just like you're saying, there's a lot that doesn't get put on the table because of the microwave society, and the impatience is costing, and I don't want to use the word killing a lot of people, but I'm saying impatience is costing a lot of folks in a lot of different ways. So the words that you speak, the words that you are speaking right now are very impactful, and it's driving that home, to the listeners. And I think the listeners are going to receive what you're saying, and that can be like a help to help boost them up, bring them up, wake them up, shake them up, and so what you're saying is really needed to be heard.
dreams are just dreams if you take no action. And then those dreams eventually will turn into nightmares. Because if you never take action on them, right? And the reason they eventually turn into nightmares is because you're going to start living in that what if, or I should have, or I could have. So that's going to be something that's going to be constantly haunting you in your mind, because you're going to see somebody doing exactly what you knew 10 years ago you could take initiative to do. But you was like, man, ain't nobody gonna feed into that. Ain't nobody gonna pay in that. And now somebody else is living wealthily off of what you could have did 10 years ago because you doubted your worth, you doubted your capability.
Right. So, not to give away your secret sauce or anything like that, but how do you overcome that yourself, as an artist, like instead of just kind of being paralyzed by possibilities, but actually moving forward? Can you share with us some of the steps you take to not fall into that trap?
It ain't easy. It ain't easy. I think that I've just been born that type of person, like a form of rebellion. I guess that's like, because people will look at it as a rebellious person who's like, forget what you talking about. I'm going in a direction that I want to go in. And so it's only two things that can happen. Either you're going to be successful at it or it ain't for you. So what do you really have to lose by taking that chance? And so for me, I weigh out my options. Am I going to be able to look at myself in the mirror tomorrow by making this decision?
Wow.
Because if you can't look at yourself by making a decision, if you can't still be comfortable or happy with yourself by making this move, then it's probably not good to make. You know what I'm saying? So I make decisions based on the fact that my morals, is this going to compromise who I am as an individual? Is this going to stop me from becoming greater? Even if I don't have no success in it, I prepare myself for what am I going to be able to learn from it if I don't have no success from it? Because maybe I didn't have the right key at that time. It's still some more learning to do. You know how like the Christian people say, God is not saying not right now, just not yet. It's the same thing. Sometimes your plan ain't meant for right now, but it's meant for you to put the initiative right now. You know what I'm saying? To get to the eventually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just taking a chance, man. I don't live my life in fear. And you gotta be a fearless person in that, of knowing that you gotta take a chance on you. Because you let that fear be that factor, then you ain't gonna do it, because you always gonna let fear make the decision for you.
Ooh, that's heavy. So yeah, now since we're looking at the time, and it went by so quickly, but just before you go, we need to make sure that people know what they need to know about you, know where to follow you, where to find you, and let us know what you got coming up. This is the time for your promotional efforts because you share so much wisdom with them. Now it's time for them to kind of pay it back. So make sure that they know everything that they need to.
Well, look, man, I'm currently working on the album. I'm still old school, so I say double CDs. I still say, so it's gonna be double-sided. One side music, one side poetry. It's gonna be called Our Zegatron and the Oceanic Thought. It was originally gonna be called Arzilla, but I'm a person about authenticity. And somebody has the name Zilla, who was a comedian, and so I said, you know what, that just was too close to his name. And I'm a big fan of Megatron and things like that. So I said, you know what, how about our Zegatron? The Oceanic Thought is just when you get in the depths of you, the ocean is deep. It has many unanswered realms that we don't know yet. So I look at myself in that same manner. So it's my Oceanic Thought that I'm revealing to you on the poetic side. In March, we got Slam Madness going on right here in Greenville, South Carolina. Poets gonna be coming from around the world. $2,000 on the line. A 2-day event. It's a bracket competition. I'm in that competition. So Slam Madness, June, Knoxville, Tennessee, Southern Fried, I'll be out there as an indie artist in competition as well. Which, you know, with that competition, it's poetry, but you will hear battle rap type style artists and things like that. And so even if you're not competing, I encourage you to, if you're close to Knoxville, or you feel like taking a bus, plane, bicycle, walk, jump, hop, I don't know. But this is an opportunity for you to brush shoulders with other artists and network and promote yourself, because they don't just love poetry, they love music, and you're going to have artists out there because they're going to have, you know, artists performing music and things like that. February 23rd here in Greenville. Also, we got which is kind of like an artist convention. And we got an actor coming from, I don't, but this convention is going to have an actor coming from the House of Pain, Tyler Perry show, and another actor. And then you're going to have some A&Rs and things like that. But there will also be a competition going on, so I'll be involved in that. Poetry book coming this year as well, A Man and His Broken Umbrella. Still haven't slated a date on the poetry book or the album. But A Man and His Broken Umbrella will be the name of the poetry book. And so it's just my way of saying that it's time for us to get rid of them umbrellas that been broke, that's no longer protecting us mentally. You know what I mean? Because you know how we is, man. We get so used to something and comfortable with it, we won't get rid of it, even if it's detrimental to us. So A Man and His Broken Umbrella coming to you this year. Other than that, man, if you want to support me, you can follow me at Azar King 3 on Instagram. You can follow me at King Azar 315 on TikTok. That's the name of my TikTok page now. Got banned at 44,000 followers. Not because I was doing anything wrong, it's just because I was just dropping too much truth. So that page is back up. And get your H2O. Do you want to know what the H2O is? That's Healing to Obtain. That's one of my merch lines. So if you want that H2O, that Healing to Obtain hashtag, I'm feeling like I'm healing, get at me in my Instagram tornadoes, as I call them, which is the DM to regular people. And if the hoodie by itself, if you're in our city and you can pick it up, it'll be $35. If I have to mail it to you, it will be $40 plus shipping and handling. If you want your hat, your add on the hoodie or t-shirt or whatever, it'll be additional $5 for those add-ons. But hey, man, rather than that, check the weather forecast, because I'm a tornado and you'll never know where I may land. You hear me?
Love it. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let Breezy close us out with any thoughts or questions he might want to throw your way.
Words of wisdom, words of impact. And we're absorbing, I know the listeners are, so thank you for sharing, educating, and taking the time to let us know just what you're delving in right now, and it's all good. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, man. Thank y'all for having me back again. It's always, it's a blessing. It's dope. And, it's funny, man, because I had you on the phone the last time and didn't get to see your face. And now I see your face. I'm like, well, dang, this is actually his voice. This ain't no radio microphone.
I know, right? Yeah.
So, I appreciate y'all. And if I can leave y'all with anything, remember, you are worthy of everything. Good, bad, ugly, happy, sad, whatever come your way, worthy. And even if it's unexpected, if you build yourself mentally right, you can deal with it just like it was expected. I'm proud of all of y'all. You're doing a great job, and I love you even without knowing you, because I know what it's like not to be loved. You feel me?
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you, and we got to do this again.
No doubt.
All right, and that does it for this week's edition of Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. Once again, we thank you so much for joining us. It was just another great time. And, if there's some more topics that you'd like for us to cover and kind of drill down a bit, just make sure that you reach out to us and let us know. We'll definitely take that into consideration and, try to make sure that we address any needs that you have.
Yeah, there's just all kinds of stuff popping right here. So, we really we'd like to show a lot of appreciation.
Absolutely. And once again, a super huge thank you to our home stations, Grander Radio out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Sparks Radio out of Denver, Colorado. And so you know where to find us. Till next time, tune in, tell a friend, and we'll see you then. Peace.
Peace.